not going to conquer the mountain. You're conquering yourself first.
Mountains, they're like last real temples.
Heart sometimes have doubt. Mind have doubt. Soul doesn't have any doubts.
Appreciation of the dragon is very different if you compare East and West.
They describe the dragon as an evil because they are the evil.
You live in Scotland. Symbol of Scotland is unicorn. If they believe in unicorn, means they may believe in dragon as well.
If you go to Loch Ness, the legend says that there is a dragon.
I would like to ask you a forbidden question. Have you ever seen a dragon? Welcome. Somewhere between legends and mountains, somewhere between ancient fire and infinite snow, there are stories. Stories which humanity carried for thousands of years. Stories of dragon. But not only a creature of fantasy, but a symbol. Symbol of power, wisdom, and mystic. Perhaps it's not a coincidence that dragon usually born high in the mountains. Somewhere at distant places where the air becomes so much thin, the silence becomes so sacred, and the soul forced to meet itself. Today I'm very honored to welcome a very special guest who walked to the edges of the earth, who have seen the earth in the rawest and most majestic way. Mustafa Salami. Namaste, Mustafa.
Namaste, Maria. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I love the setup with these beautiful dragon around us.
Thank you so much for being here today. I know how busy you are, and it's really, I'm very grateful for that. It's a big honor to welcome you. Your story is very unique and very special and very inspiring. I would like to ask you first question, please. After reaching the highest summit of each continent, after completing such an unbelievable achievement as standing in the both poles and Greenland, who did you become?
Well, I become more human. I started this journey, wanted to prove something to myself, to my family, to the world. But after all the summit and the both poles, I realized that the world doesn't want conquering. The world needs understanding, stillness. I become less attached to my achievement and more connected to meaning, service, and humility. And if you ask me what is the biggest achievement, is to able to fundraise $8.5 million for charity. This is the big, and this is the humanity.
This is so much amazing. Your story is so much, it's touched my heart. When I just first time know what you do, I was just so much amazed.
Thank you.
And I think when you're reaching to this kind of very distant, when you're on the edge of the human abilities, you're facing something unknown, right?
Yes, always.
Have you ever experienced in your hardest period, in your hardest moments, that something beyond your understanding is there? There is some force like that makes you feel that there is a lot of mystery, because while you're reaching to the places where not every human even can imagine, what kind of the most mystic experience was with you?
I just want to say that I think anybody can do what I did, because just to make it very clear, it's not that it's impossible, but I think you want to have the passion and why you're doing it. So you have to ask yourself why you're doing it. But for me, the higher and further I went, the more I understand that science explain how, but not always why. Because when you take your body to the extreme, beyond what the man world has thinks, you can definitely see science, it doesn't make any sense in some places. So there are things you can feel in silence, in cold, in isolation that no data can touch.
You have visited all continents. You have been in amazing places. Why do you think that Asian civilization, they like they appreciate some civilizations, they appreciate dragons, some they don't. But regardless all of this, you can see the dragon's presence everywhere. Why do you think the Asian people choose a dragon to be in such a uh, symbol?
You know, because humans everywhere face the same unknown, because we don't know. Al-Ghaib in Arabic, Al-Ghaib is mean the future, so we don't know. But I believe God knows Al-Ghaib. So, but different landscape, same fear of unseen, and I experienced this firsthand, especially at the South Pole. But dragon were a humanity way of giving form to what felt bigger than us: dangers, wisdom, protection, and power. And that's what dragon. If people think it's mythical, it's all these four things: is the power, is the protection, and the beauty as well.
So the dragon, the image of dragon, it's like a metaphor of power, wisdom, and something a very Asian force.
Absolutely, protection, because protection is, protection is important, because we, as a human, we need to be protected. And when we are protected, and when we feel safe, we always can give a little bit more. When we feel threatened, we just think about ourselves, the inner self, to be able to survive.
Yeah. And by the way, I was reading a lot about ancient Arabia.
Mhm.
And there is no any kind of books or something that was talking about the dragons. I think I find only one book. It's written by Al-Masudi.
Masoudi, yes.
That he mentioned, but I love how he described it. He mentioned that the dragon, the metaphor of dragon, it lives somewhere very far from the Arabia. I think he was mentioning maybe Atlantic or some area. And then he said, like, the real understanding of the dragon, only God can understand it.
Mhm.
Like, for us, for human, it's almost impossible. And really, it's touched my heart so much. But why do you think there is no so much legends about dragon in Arabic, in ancient Arabia?
In Arabia, we have the desert, and the desert itself is a dragon. I mean, to survive in the desert, to
beautiful,
survive in the cold of the night and the heat of the
Yes.
day, but in mention in Masoudi, I believe they are symbol of inner, because he believed that there is forces of inner forces inside us: fear, courage, instinct, transformation. And that's what dragon were. The dragon were the language of the soul. It wasn't the language of the heart or of the mind. So it was always the dragon of the souls, if you go back, especially how Masoudi described it.
Thank you. It's beautiful, how you make it like a dragon and desert, and the deep understanding of this metaphor. It's very deep. Yeah, it resonates a lot.
Yeah, because if we look at the area where we live in the Arab world, we came from the desert. And the desert has a significant, because people always say, you climb a mountain, you go up in the snow,
Yeah.
and, how can you come from a place? But when you look at Bilad al-Sham, which is the Levant, so we do have mountains, we do have snow, we do have all this.
Yeah.
But when you come and look at the Gulf, and especially where the religion has started in the desert in Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for this explanation. And I know that you have deep knowledge of Sufism.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I love
And-
Sufism.
And I would love to ask your opinion and how Sufism, what dragon represent in Sufism? It's this question was fascinating for me so long. So
I think with Sufi, if I look at Sufism, dragon as a person like me, as somebody who go to the mountain as a mountain, a dragon is the ego, and myself are the seeker of life, of going up to climb mountains to the highest point, to the furthest point. So me is the seeker. In Sufism, you have to have somebody called Murid and the Sheikh. So if you want to learn stuff and you want to be knowledgeable, you go and ask a person who are more knowledgeable about, say, the Quran, about life. They ask you, and most of the time they say to you, when you ask the question, they told you to ask your heart. Now, for the dragon becoming an ego, and because ego, everyone have to have an ego. I have an ego, but I leave it at home most of the time, and I don't take it outside the house. I leave it there. I look in the mirror. I said, I'm gonna do this. I can definitely do it. I am powerful to do it. But when I come out, I'll leave it there, especially when I go to the mountain, because if I take the ego with me in the mountain, it will kill me. And I think that's, for me, dragon represent that part of ourself, which is ego. And then if we need to understand that ego, need to understand dragon, we need to have the knowledge to be able to understand it, so we can have no fear. So when it comes to you, you can understand it and you can welcome it rather than be fearful from it.
It's very beautiful what you said.
Thank you.
It's very deep. And you just mentioned when you're going to climb the mountains, and if you go with the ego will destroy you. And it resonates a lot, because when I've been in Himalayas, like my first, of course I didn't go so much high as you did, but I felt it. I felt strongly what you mean. And
can I add something as well?
Yes, please.
In Sufism, what I know, that also they represent the divine power. So it's everything, it's all about the divine. So it's the divine power. And something that overwhelming, humbling as well. So because, you have to go down and be humble and beyond control. This is a reminder that we are guests in this universe. It's like dragon. They came in, they were guests, they come back, they are a guest. Like we all are guests in this universe. So until we understand that we are guests, then we can be able to do so much in our life. But you have to have the passion as well, because without being passionate, I don't think you're going to go too far.
Yes, it's beautiful, as you said. It's so much beautiful. So do you find that Sufi way and the way of a climber, it's very similar, like both they are looking for truth?
Yeah, we both going higher. And, in Sufism, you take nafs, your nafs, it's your inner self. It's yourself. You're taking it to a higher place to understand God with passion. And there is a beautiful quote by a sheikh called Al-Ghazali. I will say it in Arabic first. He said, لا أدري لماذا لا يطير العباد إلى ربهم على أجنحة من الشوق بدلا أن يساقوا إليه بصياط من الرهبة إن الجهل بالله ودينه هو علة هذا الشعور النافر أو الشعور الغريب لا أحد أبر ولا أحن على عبده من الله عز وجل. So what is he saying is that if you do anything in life, even with the prayer, you have to have the passion. So you have to get up, wake up early in the morning at 5:30 to do something because you are passionate about something that is more powerful than you. And you go in there with passion, not with fear. Because the minute you start going with fear, you're going to be missing that inner self. So for me, passion is the biggest thing. So if you're passionate about dragons, then you're going to know so much about them, and then you're going to be able to, you're going to go higher and higher and higher, because it's not about good and evil. It's not just because everything that we represent is all good and evil. It's more about the truth. So, and we have to be truthful to ourselves than being strong.
Yeah, it's very beautiful what you said. And do you find mountains, they're like kind of last real temples
This is a very good question, actually, because I believe so. Because, in the one climb inwards and one outwards, but both are searching for the meaning beyond ego. So we come back to ego again. But for the temple, I because this is something really important. Temples are something that is safe, that you go in. Is something that give you um, peace. And mountain is exactly are the same. When you're there, first of all, when you climb a big mountain, you are nothing. You are not even a little point.
Yeah.
So, and people who said, I'm going to go and conquer the mountain. You're not going to conquer the mountain. You're conquering yourself first.
Exactly.
But, temples, people always build the temples in a higher place to feel safe from maybe enemies, from people come to your space. And mountains are the same, because when you're there, it's you and yourself. It's you that have to do everything. It doesn't matter who with you. If you are above 8,000 meters, you can have Sherpa, you can have oxygen, you can have everything you're going to have. But it's all you. And
Yeah.
if you have the right reason why you're there, you have to remember, why am I here? Then you're going to push yourself. If you don't know why you're there, you're going to come back, because there will be no meaning of why you were there.
Mustafa, you're a climber, you're adventurer, you're a writer, philosopher, you're kind of modern pilgrim of extreme. So please tell me, when the climber is ascending the mountain, is it only body or the soul is ascending a lot?
No, I mean, it's definitely it's the soul. It's not, because the body get very tired sometimes. And, if you are trying to acclimatize, there is lack of oxygen. It's, the body and the soul work together, but you have to have the mind as well. So in mountaineering, in mountaineering, 70% of what you do is mentally, and you have 30%. 10 is fitness. So you have to be prepared. You have to have a body that will be able to walk for weeks and weeks and climb and not feeling tired. So you preparation. Second is the technicality. So you need to learn everything, what to wear, what is the best base layer, what's the best down suit, how I'm going to rest myself if I fall with my crampons, how I'm going to go up, all this stuff. And the last 10% is time and money. It's an expensive sport. So you need a sponsorship, you need to work. So this is the first part. So what was the question?
The question was like, while you're going up, is it your body only, or it's the
both.
soul is kind of trying the best to achieve?
The soul is definitely.
What do you think, like spirit, soul, or body? What is the most important in this?
Mind.
Mind also is there.
Mind is the biggest things, to be honest. It's the mind that, okay, you have the heart to do it, but heart sometimes have doubt. Mind have doubt. Soul doesn't have any doubts, because it flies. So, this is, you put yourself in that situation, and you were there for a reason, and that reason, that's where the soul comes from. And then you have the mind, which you understand everything around you, and you prepare for everything, and you came to do it. And your heart is, heart is something that, it's emotion. It's made of emotion.
Yeah.
So, you see the sun is rising about 5 o'clock in the morning, you're above the cloud. You see just a blue sky, you see the wind, you hear everything. And, you completely wearing this big down suit, you have your big goggles. The only things you see is your feet while you're going up. So something have to carry up more than anything.
And this beautiful moment that you just described now, like what kind of legends awaken? What have you experienced?
What I experience is stillness. It's that everything is so still. Everything is going so slowly. Life is going super slowly, and we should be. And there is a beautiful poem, an English writer called Rudyard Kipling, and there is one part of the poem. It's called F, and there is one part. He said, "If you can fill the unforgiven minute with 60 seconds, better than disaster run." 60 seconds. If we can in life, if you can count the 60 second, 1 elephant, 2 elephant, 3 elephant is long, but it goes very quickly if we don't realize it and we're not aware of it. So as long as you're aware, so there you are aware of yourself, you're aware of time, you're aware of fear, you're aware of stillness, you're aware of everything that is beautiful, you're aware of it. So you're aware of your body, everything around you. The wind that you listen in while you're going up, that thin air, you know, that just the sound of the crampons going in ice, everything become awareness. And I think if we in life can be that aware of everything around us, I think we can definitely do we can do so much. So
you describe it so beautiful and so bright that like I see all of this picture now, you know, it's like we're somewhere in Himalayas and dragons is here with us. So do you think this is might be the one of the reason why Asian civilization, they always trying to put dragons somewhere high in the mountains? Because most, like if you read stories, fairy tales, dragons, they're always somehow connected to mountains, to nature generally, but very often to mountains. Why do you think so?
I mean, some culture learn to live with power, which is, I feel, is the Western culture that live with power. Another try to control it. And when you try to control things is definitely better than you trying to take it with power. That difference shape everything. And if we look at everything around us, everything that's been shaped, it's either shaped by a power or by people who try to control that power that come in. So, and mountains is so powerful. You cannot beat it.
No one can control it.
No.
Only
but
God.
You can control yourself of
Yeah.
how you look at it. So the control come within you. Is the change come within you? That because that's the biggest thing. And I always use one single ayah in the Quran. And it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Sadaqallah al-Azim. God does not change what's in you until you want to make that change. So the change happen from your inner self. It doesn't happen from outside of you. It's all from the inner self.
Yes, yes, it does a lot of sense. So and what I was going to ask you also, I know like half of your life you live in Europe, in Scotland, and the appreciation of the dragon is very different if you compare East and West. It's dramatically different.
It is dramatically
So
different.
in East, they're always appreciated, they're honored, they're respected. But West make dragons so much evil, like they're kind of dark force, but dark. So why do you think the nations, civilization, what can be the real reason from your experience? Because you have visited all continents, you have been, of course, you know, you touch a lot of cultures and you experience it deeply, not as a tourist, but as the one who reached the highest summit of it. So what do you think? What is the reason why it's so much different between East and West? And what I love that you mentioned earlier, the dragon is like, there, of course, there always represents the force, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to hear.
I mean,
from
I've
you.
just, maybe I've answered it earlier. It's because the West is trying to take everything. But if you look at the Western civilization, if you look at it from the United States to Britain to Europe, it's all about conquering. somebody else. It's all about taking somebody's land. It's all taking it by power. It's all about control. We look now around us and we can see that now. We can see clearly what's happening in the world. It's all about control, control, control. And the control, because they're powerful. They have the machinery. They have, I would say, technology to destroy. And we've seen, and we witness. Every day we witness. These are how, because they describe it, because this is how they are. They describe the dragon as an evil because they are the evil. But you go back, you look at the East, they didn't look at it this way. It was a mythical for them. It was about love and power and protection. So they ride it to see the world, not ride it to destroy the world. And that's the difference, I think. It's how you see the world is what you become. It's how you see it. They see it this way. It's all about control and power.
So, means all of what you said, meaning this is very different perception of the power. Because let's say, let's imagine it might be truth. Who knows? That in some time ago, the dragon was representing the force and the power everywhere. But the West couldn't adapt to this power, so they start to make it evil. But the East, they was respecting this power. So this can be one of the reasons why it's so much goodness in the East and it's so much dark in the West. Because how people they can, some things you cannot control. So maybe they couldn't control the dragons. And also the same time, dragons in the legends, they also guard the treasure, right? And for some reason, the humanity explain that this is treasure. It's kind of the source of the ores, that it's gold, this is precious stone, etc. But what if it's not the treasure in our literal understanding? What it can be then? What they could guard and protect?
I think there is evil and good in the East, and there is evil and good in the West. So we have to be clear with this. And it just, as I said, is how you look at it. But to answer the question, I think every moment where there is some stuff that you cannot explain, that is not logical. And when it's not logical, I think crossing that moment change everything. So I don't need to understand everything. I need to feel it, and I need to start with myself, and I need to adapt to it without trying to make the change.
I wanted to ask you also how dragon is, how they, let's say in a way, they respect it, appreciate it or not in Scotland, because I know you live in Scotland, and I know that symbol of Scotland is unicorn, not a dragon. But same time, the people, if they believe in unicorn, means they may believe in dragon as well, or appreciate it.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think Scotland, and for me, Scotland, I always felt Scotland is my home, because I had my dream in Scotland. I moved to Scotland from London because I was following my freedom. And when I arrived at Scotland, I walk at Princess Street, and the first things I see is this beautiful Edinburgh Castle. Amazing. It's and you can see it from everywhere. And Scotland, it's a very mythical city. It's also a city that fought the devil. And I can see if there is a good dragon, they were protecting that city. They fought the devil, which we're coming from London then. But I think with Scotland is when you're there, you feel part of this land. It's a very Gothic place. And it's a very welcoming place. So I can see why in Scotland. Because if you go, because there is a myth in the Loch Ness.
Yes,
And
yes, this is I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, yeah.
So if you go to Loch Ness, you'll see all everywhere, because the legend says that there is a dragon
Yeah.
inside, and I believe there is, because
I
every
do
time I go
believe.
there,
I do believe.
it's a beautiful thing. So they have that, and that dragon that they believe in Scotland is the beautiful dragon that is protecting the lake. So it's
Exactly.
not there to destroy, it's not there to attack anybody. It raise, they are
Sometimes,
always there
yes.
to raise up, and they just
It's a lot
walk
of
around.
footage,
And
like
yeah,
documentary footage, that there is something looking like a dragon.
yeah. You can believe it or you cannot believe it, but
It's okay.
it's the beauty about it, that it's khair. So it's what it's for the good. It's not a bad. It's a good, not evil. It's a good. So that's why.
So Scotland is beautiful, and
It's
they do
amazing.
believe in unicorn. Unicorn is kind of
Yes,
symbol.
they do. Yes.
There is a dragon living in Loch
Yeah.
Ness Lake, so I'm sure it's something special. And also Welsh.
Yeah, in Wales
the
as well.
dragon, a red dragon, is a
Yeah,
symbol,
yeah.
is a spirit of the nation, and the
Absolutely.
spirit of the place.
Yeah,
and
you see it in their flag.
Exactly, it's officially. It's not just
No.
like
Yeah.
usual from the fairy tale.
Yeah.
And it's so much beautiful, because to be honest, when I was like studying this subject, and I have read a lot of books, I was studying a lot of like before it was not so easy like now you can Google everything. Before
Yeah.
you have to go to library, sometimes you have to wait for some book. And I was always like amazed that every single civilization has footprint of dragon. Either they make them beautiful or they make them dark,
Yeah.
but they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I when I was at the South Pole, I downloaded Game of Thrones, and the best part for me, it was the dragon. It was the story
Yes.
about dragon. So yeah.
yeah, it's one of my favorite movies as well.
Yeah.
It's so much powerful. Yeah, how they represented like the power, the force that no one can conquer. It's just like three
Yes.
dragon, three of them, and their queen.
Yes.
They fight them all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty much inspiring.
Yes.
And Mustafa, also I would like to ask you like I think kind of forbidden question.
Sure.
Because in this kind of very distant, very remote places where you have been, have you ever seen a dragon?
I think when I was at the South Pole, I felt, because, I was there for 65 days, you don't see anything, just white. You have to ski every day, 35 kilometers, cross-country ski. You have
Wow.
to sledge behind you a massive weight. You have to build everything yourself. You have to deal with everything. You have to deal with this beautiful nature. And I did felt 100% while I was skiing. I felt lots of stuff. And I think also the connection, watching Game of Thrones that night, and then, imagining, but for me, it was the imagining to give me power, because in the last maybe 10 days or 1 week of me skiing to the South Pole, it was tough. And I wanted some sort
unbelievable.
of, something to keep me going and use. So for me, it was these beautiful things that was giving me power more than anything else.
I have goosebumps now while I was telling the story. And what kind of dragon was it like?
It was a white dragon.
White?
Yes, it was a white dragon.
Kind of this one?
Kind of this one.
So it's so beautiful. Thank you so much to share such a unique
You're welcome.
experience. So do you think in these distant places, where is the earth is kind of majestic and raw one, do you think there is like a lot of things exist like beyond our understanding, and there is kind of mystery, the
Yes,
energy?
Absolutely. I think moment when time felt suspended, when the world felt alive and listening, I think it's I think is to understand, and to understand your inner self before understanding anything else. And then it will show how we deal with the unknown, with the humanity, with humility or fear. Because with what I've done, sometimes you go into the unknown 100% because you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe there is an avalanche that's going to happen. Maybe you're skiing and there is this massive wind.
Yeah.
There is a big change because it's all about nature then. So it's all about fear and humility. But when you try to understand it, and you see what I do before I go to any expedition. Now I'm going to expedition in 1 week. I put everything negative gonna happen, everything bad going to happen, and I'm gonna prepare. I'll write it down. What's gonna happen? My tooth gonna fall. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna call for help. There is no help. I need to deal with it myself. So I put everything is gonna go wrong, and then I will learn and have knowledge for everything to make it positive. So if I'm climbing or if I'm skiing and something happened, in my mind, I know I'm going to be able to deal with it. So this is the unknown, that you know what's going to... The only things that you're not going to control is the nature.
Yeah.
So when the nature come and stuck you, then it's the survival of the fittest. It's nothing to do with knowledge. It's nothing to do with the preparation. You can do whatever. If you have an avalanche coming... 40, 50 kilometers an hour and he's hitting you, what are you going to do? Then you're going to have one thing that's is God. You're going to turn to God very quickly. You always turn into God. But this is when you're going to say, well, is it my lucky day? Or is it the day I'm going to go? And if I'm prepared for that day I'm going to go, I'm going to go with peace and I'm going to be happy to go. Not to fight it. But in the same time, is to survive. We all wanted to survive. So
it's very deep what you said, and it resonates deeply. As like for me, in my understanding, the dragons, they represent some supreme power, some higher consciousness. So even like in the East, they're explained as a nature, the spirit of nature, and what you were telling now, it's like very logical. But what is for you dragon? What it can symbolize? What kind of metaphor of the dragon resonates with you the most, like personally? Because you have seen a lot. You're a unique person. You are a very unique person,
Thank you.
Being like on the higher summits of all continents, stepping in the South and North Pole. Just imagine you just said 60 days alone in the extreme. It's made you kind of supernatural.
I don't know if I'm supernatural, but it's more, I think it's, I always say I'm an ordinary guy doing an extraordinary things. I've been lucky to be able to do it and have the fund and have the sponsorship to be there. But I always say anybody can do it if you really want to do it. But for me, I think the greatest dragon for me and for the humanity is ego. That is the greatest. But when we say ego, then thinking we are separate from nature because we are part of this nature. So the minute we think that we're separate from nature, this is when problem happen. That's why I say ego, not my ego. The ego of all the humanity.
Yes.
Because we are distant ourselves from nature. Because when you are in the nature and you experience the nature, nature is not there to kill you. Nature there to teach you a lesson. And if you learn from that lesson, you will be able to be part of that nature. And you can go on. Because we have the brain to deal with things. We have the brain.
So for you, the dragon is like force of the nature.
100%. 100%. It is, absolutely. You go back and look at dinosaurs. You know, we all believe there is scientific.
But maybe it was not dinosaur.
Well, you know,
who knows?
maybe
Maybe
yes,
it was a dragons,
totally.
but just
But
you
they
know,
were there
kind
for a
of,
reason.
which
Yeah.
of course.
They were there for a reason, and the reason they serve, and they left. Like everything that's happened in life, we there for a reason. We save that reason. How long we're gonna last? What, 100 years, 120 years? And God, the count is not even an hour, or we don't complete the day. So, or our life. But we're there for a reason. And the reason we have to understand, and we go back to this understanding, is that you serve everything around you. You know, you become a legend. So people remember you. How many names would we remember of people who make the change the world? There is so many names, Ken. There is few names that came to this earth and changed. Muhammad Ali. Anybody would know Muhammad. You can go to a little village in Africa, or you can be in Asia or in Australia, New Zealand. Everyone knows who he is. Does they know because he's a boxer? Did they remember all the fight? No. They remember his wisdom. They remember because he served people, because he wanted to make a change. So that, the most important things is that the change you're trying to make, not what you want to achieve for yourself, is what you affected around you.
Yes, I agree with you. It's a very beautiful saying. Mustafa, there is a question for you as a climber. What kind of summit still calling you? Where would you like to step?
I think the inner one, the inner summit on me, which is becoming more lighter, more useful, and more presence. So yeah, that's, I think this is the biggest summit for me, and to be there for my family, to be there for a big cause, which is the cause I'm working on towards now, and to help other people achieve their dream.
This is so beautiful, and you're the very bright example how God is blessing you. Even you're very humble and you're saying you're not, but you are like, for me, you are kind of a hero of our times. Because you have done already so many things and you continue this.
Alhamdulillah.
And like, God bless you and you serve the people, and I'm sure you will be blessed more and more. And I wish you the best in all of your adventure. And thank you so much. It was a big pleasure to talk to you about dragons today.
Me too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.